If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Hello and welcome to the HHH Racing Podcast, episode 2 of the Leaderboard, sponsored by TwinSpires. I'm your host, Howard Kravitz, along with co-hosts Noah Maher and Matt Miller. Thanks for joining us tonight. Last week was a rousing success. We had a world premiere episode of this show, the Leaderboard, again sponsored by TwinSpires. We had amazing feedback. We had a great viewership and listenership, and it was all because of you at home. So thank you very much for watching. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button, the bottom right-hand side of the screen, hit the notification bell on the top right on YouTube, and smash that like button below the video player. That will help bring people to the Leaderboard and the HHH Racing Podcast. We would greatly appreciate a few other quick items. You can listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor, and you can follow us on X at HHH Racing Pod. We think we are a fantastic follow. Please make sure you do that. We'd also love for you to comment below the video player. Any comments you have about the show, about our winner from last week, about any of us, whatever, good or bad, we'll take it either way. Again, below the video player, please put comments in there. We also have a great tip sheet, which I'm going to mention a little bit later in the show, because our winner last week, I don't know if you know this, Noah and Matt, is a proud member of Team HHH, our highest membership here on the podcast. And as he put out on X, that helped him perhaps this past weekend win the contest with one of our spot plays in the last race. We'll have to ask Mike about that. We also have a great website, hhhracingpodcast.com. Noah and Matt, how you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Oh, good.
Wonderful. Matt, ready to roll? All right.
Ready to roll.
Let's just jump right in, guys. We all played in the contest last week, the major contest, I should say, for TwinSpires, which is a $500 entry for on the Claiming Crown Day at Churchill Downs. Noah, there were some huge fields and a lot of handicapping puzzles to decipher last Saturday.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and you saw it with some of the races. He got some big price results and a lot of chaos, I thought, and made it quite a difficult trekking contest that we had to partake in on Saturday. I know you and I were a little frustrated with the results, but we'll have a gentleman in about 30 seconds or a minute who crushed his bets, as we like to say on the podcast.
He sure did, and Matt, it came down to the end, as it usually does in these tournaments. Really, really close finish. You were right there in the mix. You actually had the lead for much of the tournament. As painful as that is to say, I'm sure you'll take a fourth. It was an excellent showing. 108 entries, Matt, as we were trying to qualify for the NHC.
That's a big number. If Darren is watching, there's a little bit of an I told you so here. This is one of the few that they've had so far where there's an NHC seat. And I think people showed up. They want it. It's a top-heavy structure. I think there were only 2 seats total, but as predicted on this show, and so for people who watched and hopefully learned something or got something out of it, it was a higher total than normal that it took to get this thing. You know, Mike, we'll talk to him about what he did and what he targeted, but he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly that fact. And so, yeah, it all kind of played out as expected. Just a word on me, and then let's get to the winner. This card looked like a mess, and I wanted to do my damage early. Those races just looked easier. It's that simple. So rather than score in the harder later races, I went for a number early and struggled to hold on and didn't. Let's talk to Mike about something more.
Yeah. Sam Falcon, what's up? At Sam.Falcon. I don't think we've seen your name in the chat. How about this, guys? I finished in the money in my first ever TwinSpires contest this past weekend. Congratulations, Sam. That's exactly the kind of people we're trying to reach out and find here and be a part of the show. Big thanks to the HHH team. Thank you for always providing great analysis and information. Sam, keep it going, my friend. That's great to hear. That's exactly what we're talking about. All right, let's bring on our winner. For those of you that are not familiar with the show, very quickly, this is not the length of our other shows. Usually we go about an hour on our other weekly shows. This show is only about 30 to 40 minutes. We basically break down the play from the past weekend. We talk about the upcoming tournament and any other important TwinSpires information. Gentlemen, let's bring on last week's winner. This guy is a fantastic handicapper, great contest player, does some work for Equine Edge, is also a Team HHH member, as I mentioned. So he's a big supporter of this podcast, and I'm assuming, again, that tip sheet and other things helped him get to the winner's circle. But you know what, Matt? No, he did this all on his own, guys, with 2 major plays. Let's bring on last week's winner, and now an NHC participant, winner of the grand prize of $8,000 from TwinSpires, plus a over $2,500 bankroll. Let's bring him on, Mike Saletta. Mike, congratulations, my friend. How you doing,
guys? Great to see you guys again. I appreciate that. Some kind words, and I do appreciate that. We'll talk a little bit about my strategy, but there's people on this chat and in this video here that have helped me along the way. So I appreciate all that.
Well, we appreciate you said that. Noah and myself had a pleasure of meeting Mike, I believe, at a certain bar at the last Kentucky Derby. And Mike, we were talking about adventures in the infield, basically, weren't we?
Yeah, quite a few. So 25 straight years for me. So
wow,
you can think of imagine all the things that I've experienced in the infield for 25 straight years. So, but yeah, it's been a great ride, and I think we called it quits last year. We'll see.
Okay,
pretty confident that's the last year infield fun.
All right. Well, maybe now I'm assuming the Christmas list has gotten a little larger with that nice score that you had with the holidays coming up.
Oh yeah, my wife was pretty excited, so she immediately got on the phone and did some shopping. So
yeah. Now, Matt, the key is not to tell the wife, right? Oh wait, should I not say that? Sorry.
Well, she's going to notice that he's in Vegas. So
good point.
Well, we'll get to the story, but I was pacing the house, and she was like wondering why I was pacing the house. So she knew exactly what was going on, and she didn't know what the prize was, but she knew what was going on.
Have you been to the NHC before, Mike? And is this your first or second?
This will be my first, and if I'm being transparent, I really didn't start trying to get into the NHC probably until last year. I say in early 2024. I knew about it, and it was something I never got too involved in my horse playing career. And,
yeah.
It was early on of last year, and that's where I met Matt and Brad Anderson and yourself at the Hawthorne contest.
Right.
And you guys just welcomed me right in as one of your own, and I had a great time. And I think that probably is what did it for me. So you guys have created a monster.
That's right. I forgot that we did meet at Hawthorne. There's so many contests and so many things we do. We got a lot of people in the chat, Mike, and we'll get to your what happened last Saturday. We have, I'm sure you know some of these names in the chat. Let's see. Oh boy, Masarasa, I believe. Mikey. I don't know if you know who that is, but there's a fan of yours listening right now. We got Brent King, 5565. Congratulations to Mike, good friend of mine.
So that's my buddy
thanks for joining the show.
Brent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we got a lot of big fans of yours watching. There's Brad Anderson. Congrats, Mike. Job well done and well executed strategy. See you in Vegas, my friend. I'm not there yet. I have not qualified, but hopefully I will. Matt has. Noah is also trying to. Oh, that's his wife. Okay. Oh, your wife is. Oh boy. Okay. So she didn't hear that line from before. Sorry. Just joking. All right, Mike. Let's get to it, guys. So I'm going to show on the screen here in just a second your final total. I'd love to hear about your strategy. It was a difficult card, Mike, because there were huge fields, horses coming from all over the place. Here's the final result. Let me get myself off the screen there. There we go. Mike, you won the contest with 2501. Look how close that was, Matt. And Noah. Everyone about $100 away. Second and third was only, what is that, $22 difference. And here's what you won there, the ANC seat. The 8,000. Let's quickly, Mike, talk about what was your strategy going into the day in general.
Yeah, so you guys touched on it early, right? It was a pretty tough card. I think for me, it was early. The first couple races, I didn't have real interest in, and kind of the middle of the card, I wasn't all that strong opinionated on. It was more the latter half of the card. So I knew that there was the third race was my first opportunity for me where I had a strong opinion. that's where you see I went with an exacta box. I was leaning towards doing an ice cold 2.6 exacta and just pushing all in with one of my entries. I had 2 entries. But I said, you know what, I'll play the second entry a little cool, and I'll just box this one and to get started, at least get me halfway to my goal. And what's crazy is I did start at $2,500 as my goal. Just put in my spreadsheet, and I keep track of, how I'm progressing to the goal, right? So it's weird that it turned out that way.
I was going to guess if you missed by $1.75 on hitting gold, and it looks that's about as close.
Yeah, come on, Mike. I mean, seriously, you said 2,500. I mean, come on.
I'm not joking. I would tell you if I was saying it was 3,000 and I came short, but no, it was 2,500. I never changed it, because there's times, right, where you get in these contests, and if people are doing very well, or the card's paying, right, that leaderboard could change. At the top,
for sure,
and with a top heavy number, I just figured 10x would probably do it.
Right? Well, you were right. No, let me let you chime in. This was a big race for a lot of people, Mike. I played the race. I moved up a little bit. I had 2 entries also. Mike, we'll get your answer in just a second. But Noah, what was your overall opinion of this race before it happened? And Mike decided to fade Ragtime, who was actually the favorite. That was sort of a gutsy move. Or Mike, did you play Ragtime in your other entry?
I did, yeah.
Okay, well, Noah, what was your thought of this race going in? I know Matt shredded the NAR on, I believe, in the contest and maybe on the side also, but your general thought in this race, Noah, going into it?
Yeah, this was a race that we had talked about last week in our first episode, and I had talked about shred the NAR a little bit, and I was a little bit kind of having the same opinion of Mike, just because I had some small reservations about Ragtime. I wasn't sure really how good she was and if she was really progressing. And I thought she ran okay, but it was mainly dominated by the top 2. I wasn't sure if One Magic Philly wanted to get the distance. She was stretching out from 6.5 to 8 panels. So I thought she ran fine. And I thought the major question going into the race was whether Shred the NAR was going to be ready off the bench, and that she was.
Yeah. Mike, were you surprised that Shred the NAR was the 3rd choice of the 3? And are you familiar with Dutching, and did you consider that instead of boxing the 2.6?
Yeah, I definitely prescribe to Dutching. I have, again, a little cheater spreadsheet to help me do that from a friend of ours to help, calculate that pretty quickly, as fast as I can type it, right? So
right.
I typically will Dutch, but there are times I don't typically box. So that was an unusual circumstance for me. Usually it's time constraint. So if I don't have if I'm time crunched and the odds are the probables are pretty darn close to each other, I'm just going to let a box go. But
sure,
I would typically Dutch exactas.
Now it's interesting that Matt said last on the show that this is sort of a 2-puncher. This was a two bet kind of tournament for him. And sure enough, as we go to your plays here, Mike, after you had that 1,200, you laid low. Purposefully, it looked like you had some other plays. You had you show laxed once, one of Noah's favorite moves to do. We'll talk about his tournament a little bit and mine in just a minute. And then race 10, the race before, again, you only made a $150 bet. The last race was one you decided to make a move. You went a $725 win bet on Echo Lane, which was huge for you. Echo Lane, as we mentioned on the show, was a power pick, a tip sheet play on our podcast. I don't know if that had any influence with you or not. And if it didn't, that's totally okay. But on the tip sheet, I said it's really more of a value play for me. I had a tough time deciding between risk management, and Echo Lane. I personally went with the wrong horse, as did Matt. You went with Echo Lane, my friend, and that got you to the number that you wanted. Congratulations. What was the deciding factor on Echo Lane over risk manager?
Yeah. So for me, I had my 2 entries, right? So I like to play double late doubles to get to my number. So I leveraged my small play, my small bankroll at $100 on a double. I was strong on the 2 in the previous race, and then Echo again. What I like to do is I like to cap my own card, right? Go through it and then I'll look at your tip sheet. I'll look at other quality handicappers just to bolster my opinion, basically. So when I saw that it was a power pick, and then we were watching the show live, right? And you guys were talking, and I think we were talking about the two probably being too rambunctious coming out of the gate and maybe going too strong and fade. And so that just bolstered the 9 again for me in my decision. And when you have, and I think Kyle and his dad had mentioned it, or he mentioned his dad liked it on the, so it just bolstered it.
Yeah.
Right. So I knew right there and then I am not getting off the 9. And obviously it was my strong pick going into my doubles. I didn't obviously hit the front end of that double. So then I'm like, typically what I'll do is if I hit the front end and I'm already getting to my number on the 9, now I got my 9 covered. Now I'll move to my next quality pick, which was, I think it was the 3 horse in my selection that race.
Yeah.
Which was, I think, the favorite, right? It went off as the favorite, or no?
Echo Lane went off as a slight favorite.
The risk manager was, I think, the morning
line
favorite, right?
Yeah.
It was my
so you played the double Cadet Corps, which I liked. I would have had that double for a lot if Cadet Corps had won and then risk manager. So you backed up, you played that double in race 10 to 11, but then you also played small exactas with Goes the Clown. Can you talk about that strategy in the last race?
Yeah, so that was just a pivot for me. I knew I still had the win bet. I knew I had covered. Well, I had originally placed the $700, and I started watching Echo Again's odds go down because I think when I placed it, he was 9-2 at the time I placed the $700 bet.
Yeah.
Then I started to see it creep down. That's when I added another $25. Thank God I did that, right?
Well, not only that, I mean, the horse paid 2.45. It said 2-1, Mike. And Noah, we can talk about penny breakage and whatnot, but there's a difference between something paying 601 and 690. Right? Huge difference.
Oh, I have to imagine Mike was pretty psyched when he saw 690 pop up after they.
I couldn't believe it.
Well, got him 90% of the way to 5-2. So I mean, at least in my head, I'm thinking, let's get 225 and let's split it down the middle. So anything better than half, like, oh yeah, you had to feel fantastic with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, like I said, so I had the 725 in. That left me with a couple hundred left to deal with. I'm not going to let it sit there. So I just went to my next choice, and the 3 risk manager, any combination either on the front end or the back end of exactas. I really couldn't get to that number with the $100 or $200 I had. So I almost pretty much had to toss him, and then I just backed it up with the 9 underneath. With my third choice in the sequence or in my pick. So that's how I went right down the line. It's kind of my go-to play at the end of contests, to be quite honest with you.
Oh, it was amazing. Risk manager was, I thought I got a bad ride, was way too far back, was never even a threat at all. I ended up being a real bad pick for myself in that, but it's the way it goes. Mike, any final thoughts before we let you go for the night? What you're gonna do with the money? Are you a regular TwinSpires contest player? Just give us about a 30-second background on what you may do with the money and how often you play the TwinSpires contest.
Yeah, so that's definitely yanked out of the account immediately. It doesn't dangle. I learned from the best, right? So that was immediately yanked out. I leave a little. I'm a little bit like Matt Miller. I take the pocket change and play around with it. So I'm fairly frequent. It depends on the cards and the weeks and bankroll and stuff like that. But I'm fairly frequent flyer for TwinSpires contest, right?
That's great. And people can check you out on Up on Edge once in a while on Saturdays, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Right. And not at the very moment we know, but I bet, in the future. So anyway, Mike, congratulations. Anyone to give a shout out to as we let you leave the show for the day?
Yeah, whoever, my friends, family, my buddy Brent that was on here is the guy that I went through the derbies with all my life here for 25 straight years. My wife was on here. And shout out to Matt and Brad, my mentors. Thank you so much for, the year and a half of friendship and, giving me the skills, I think, to get through these contests. So I appreciate that.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations, Mike. We wish you a lot more success. You're a true gentleman. It's been a pleasure to meet you. And it's always a pleasure, of course, to have success successful people that are related to our podcast from a selfish standpoint as well. So Mike Salata, congratulations, my friend. Good luck in the future. And hopefully I'll see you at the NHC, and you'll see Matt for sure. Noah and I are still trying to get there, but take care. Early happy holidays. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. You too. Take care,
All right.
guys.
Take care, Matt. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. All right, guys, there we go. Mike Salata. Very quickly, let's talk about you and I. And well, let's talk about Matt first. Again, just real quick, guys, for 1 minute. Matt, you decided to make a $222 play, which I think some people might wonder, what was that number about? I'm showing right now on the screen on Risk Manager. You were obviously not content with where you were with about 2,100. You decided you had to make one more bet, and you were correct, by the way, as it turned out, because you were trying to win the whole thing. You were a little less concerned about the second entry, as you and the second NHC entries you and I had talked about. I did not spill the beans on our Weekend Warriors show, even though I knew that you were going to, I didn't know what you were going to do, but I knew that you were going to make a play. Just didn't work out, my friend. But congratulations on an excellent fourth place finish anyway.
Thank you. And the selection of Risk Manager was this simple. That's the horse that won me the King of the Turf.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that, actually.
I figured if this is written in the stars to happen a second time, so be it.
Forgot about that.
I feel so silly being with him once, against him the other. And so I had to pick. Yeah, there you go, Noah, again. I had to pick between the two. And I figured, okay, I'll play, it was kind of an obvious choice. But I think the important part about my play, and then we'll talk about you guys, I didn't feel a need to shove all in. I would have if I needed to. But for where I was, I calculated such that I wanted to still finish in about fourth or fifth, get some prize money. The balance I was carrying was also profit because I had won my way in. So this didn't seem to be, there didn't seem to be any need to go, ape shit crazy, throwing it all in. Maybe in retrospect, I could have Dutched those two favorites, but I don't think that really would have been the right play. I just, hats off to Mike. He made a great pick, and I swung and missed.
Matt, all right, bro. Apologize to TwinSpires for the language. Matt Miller will work on that. You know what, Matt? I did think about something, Noah. And we'll talk about our plays here and then move on. If I was in your position, Matt, you could have Dutched the 3 and 9 on win bets. Would have been about 3 to 5, and you would have gotten to about 2,800. I don't know if that was ever a consideration, just to Dutch win bet those two. But just for people out there, he could have done that. He would have had to spend his entire bankroll, but that would have been a pun intended, a perhaps risky play, but you could have done that to win the whole thing, Matt.
100% if this is a different prize structure.
For sure.
And if it's a more major tournament, for sure I do that. In this instance, given the prize money, how flat this was, the fact that I was already in the NHC,
yeah,
I just thought restraint was the better answer, despite how much I love being aggressive in these things.
Fair enough.
And I'm obviously, joking aside, I don't think I look like an unhappy person. I'm really okay with it. You're going to swing and miss sometimes. Swinging and missing for all my money here would have felt really dumb given what I was able to do. So I'm okay with it.
No, certainly not criticizing Matt's play. I just want to bring that up as an option to some people if you really want to go for it in that situation. Noah, you were very patient, as you usually are. You picked one spot. You were hoping to double your money. Again, pun intended. I believe that was the horse. Or is that the name of the horse? Or am I thinking?
It was the 7
was a Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You had the right idea, my friend. You just didn't have Nation on top, and we were joking about it a little bit on the podcast. Not joking about your misfortune, just joking about the fact this was a West Coast horse, that you and a lot of people, Jackson and me, absolutely hated. I mean, I have no idea where that effort came from Nation. He's the one that really screwed you up because you were all over the 7 who finished a solid second. You just didn't have the winner on top.
Oh, I have absolutely no idea where they came from. I mean, IRAD dusted the field by 6, and I knew that 7 was going to run well. Once I saw that, there wasn't much to root for, and obviously it's a little bit frustrating. And I was trying to use the 11 and 12 in exactas to try to get to about 1,000 because I thought the last race, as we've kind of talked about, was a little bit more straightforward than some of the other later races. So, with the top heavy structure, I knew people would be firing. Was trying to get to about 1,000. If I used the 13 in first and second, would have got me to between 700 and 750. And then I would have had to make a decision because I had originally wanted to Dutch the 4 and the 9 to win. Then maybe I would have had to shove all in the 9 or play exactas. And even if I played exactas, I probably wouldn't have used the 1. So you never know. It's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts. So
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a tough game. I will show I had two entries, but I had one in particular, as I'm just going down to it, that had a legitimate shot to win the whole thing. To be very honest about it. Actually, that's not the one. Okay, sorry, it was the previous one. Sorry, I got to go back up. What I did in the last race is what I normally don't do, but I only had $100. I just decided to play a bunch of tries. Actually, you can see on the screen there. I played big tries. Like this was the double. There's the 2-3 double, by the way. That was the same double that Mike played. So that would have gotten me, up there. But you see the other ones here. I only had $100 left, Matt and Noah. So I was really under the gun. But I played some pretty big tries there. Just to try to get to a number that I thought would get me close to 2,000, 2,400. I did have a trifecta in the race, and I also had some other. I had another. Let's see. I had a win before that as well in race 6 and some other places. And there's the exacta in the Chaluki guys that actually got me 336. I played that with some other bets as well. So anyway, it didn't work out for myself and Noah, and it definitely worked out for Matt, just not in the last race. All right, guys, a lot of fun. Congratulations, Mike Saletta. I'll tell you what, the leaderboard has not changed much, Matt. We'll save that for another time. Mike Saletta moved up slightly, not a lot, based on the way the tournament leaderboard is configured. Let's talk about next weekend, guys, or this weekend. Sorry, this weekend, as I put up on the screen, is another $500 entry. This is a qualifier for the Clark Betting Challenge. Now, the Clark Betting Challenge, which I'll scroll down to here, is one of their majors, Matt and Noah. It's a $2,000 buy-in. It's the day after Thanksgiving, so it's a week from Friday. It is expensive. It is like I said, a $2,000 entry, $1,500 bankroll. There are Kentucky Derby Betting Challenge seats on the line, which are $5,000 seats. There's also 2 NHC seats on the line. So it's a huge tournament the day after Thanksgiving, and this is a qualifier this Saturday for that. So I'm expecting a pretty good turnout once again. This weekend there is one stake in the card on Saturday. It's a $500 entry fee. Noah, did you look at some of the earlier races? Any quick thoughts on maybe an early play on the card, as I do have the PPs for that, and it is not that, but I will. Actually, I don't have the PPs for it, but I do have the entries ready. Is there a race you want me to take everyone to for maybe an early play Saturday?
It seems like race 3 is probably the place where a lot of people could dive in and maybe shove, because it looks like it's probably a 3-horse race between the 2, 3, and 5. You got the 2 Jacobsons, and then you got the favorite for IRAD and Maker. I have to imagine people would dive in there. If you want to get a little more bang for your buck, there's a horse I like a little bit in the 4th race, which is a race after. If maybe you're interested in, if you got 2 entries, you can pick 2 in the first race, shove them into the favorite in the next, and then if you want, you can play the other one in cash. But the horse I like in race 4 is the favorite in the 2, Kieran Forsyth and D'Angelo, who has just been facing way better. They gelded this horse way back in August. And then prior to that, he hadn't run all that well. But after that, he ran 2 pretty good races. He just missed the Colonial, and then came back at Colonial and won by 5.5. And then the race at Keeneland, you can totally throw a line through that. So he gets back into the D'Angelo barn. You've got speed to his inside and outside that I think could set it up for him. So if you're looking for a double play, I think he's maybe one you could screw around with.
I'm smiling, Noah, because you and I did not talk at all, and I do like this horse as well. Now, I probably haven't deep dove as much as you have in the early part of the card, but this one does stand out a little bit. I'm so disappointed in my good friend Noah for not liking Math Tutor. How do you not like Math Tutor? I mean, Math, this is like a full send all in. I don't even care what the PPs say.
I saw this coming from a mile away. You hovered above this horse a little too long before going to the 2, just dying for someone to say something about Math. That's unbelievable. I mean, you're coming back here for no reason other than just to talk about math.
You're right. I know. For people who don't know, I'm a high school math teacher, so obviously I like this name. Don't love the horse. Although I will say, no, if this horse can get back to his previous form. And he's only a 3-year-old. He is speedy and does project to be on the lead from the inside. So if it's speed favoring, this might be a horse you need to be worried about if you like the 2 Kieran. So we shall see.
Let's be cute about it, Howard, and just say you're a good enough teacher that I don't think anyone here needs a math tutor.
Oh, that's very nice. Not on this show, but there's plenty of people out there that definitely need some math help in their life.
Life tutors, everything. You bet.
There's a stake race, Noah. So if you want to touch very quickly, like I said, 2 minutes on race 10, which is the Commonwealth. It's on the turf, scheduled as of now. I believe the weather, you're in Kentucky, Noah. I believe the weather's going to be okay through this weekend. I was looking at the extended forecast, like next week into Thanksgiving. I mean, it looks like it's really going to start getting cold. Usually, Matt, at Churchill, they are on the turf through Thanksgiving weekend, and they shut it down. Of course, the meet shuts down. But anyway, usually they stay on the turf through Thanksgiving. I don't know. When you talk about highs at like 40 degrees, that gets a little dicey with the turf. But anyway, they're scheduled, Noah, for the turf. You got the Commonwealth to end the card. And then you have an allowance race, which is fascinating, Noah, because there are horses coming out of the first race last Saturday where there was a very tight finish between Project Ace, which is a horse a lot of people liked, and Quarry. Vitruvian Man, who I don't know how that horse won anyway, beats Project Ace, which is a horse. Anyway, there's a lot of ABC transitive property going on between the first race last week. It's okay, Matt. Everything will be fine. I'm throwing math words out there. Noah gets me. He's smart. Last week's first race, Noah, and the last race of this weekend.
Yeah, and I think the stake is difficult, and the last race that you've got on the screen is even more difficult. I think you're going to have to be very right about your bets on Saturday if you want to get yourself a CVCC. But the Commonwealth, I thought you could maybe make a case for Giacoso. I know people on this network had liked him a little bit going into the race last time, and just got kind of a weird trip. Was in between, steadied, was closed a little bit late. Troubleshooting probably be the favorite in there, so you could probably get maybe 4-1 around that 7-2 on Giacoso. And then the last race, I thought you can make a case for a lot of horses. Even the one Vitruvian Man who's coming out of that same race looks a little bit better now that those two came back and improved that number by 12 or 15 points. So you could make a case for him. I like the 6 a little bit in the last race, who's a homebred for Katie Rich coming off of a debut victory. So I thought there were a lot of different cases you can make and a very interesting double to end the card on Saturday.
No, is our good friend Patrick Kunzel going to be making a bet on that horse? I know he's from New Jersey, but close enough.
Yeah, Big Apple. I mean, it's a pretty good region right there.
Pretty close. Look who's back also, guys, in the stake race. Flying Mohawk, Matt, who ran the Kentucky Derby and was a nice horse in the spring. And Giacoso, by the way, Matt and Noah, big jockey switch. Big jockey switch.
I agree.
From Ben Curtis, who, by the way, who's had a great year, but to Jose Ortiz. So on Giacoso, as Matt and Noah talked about. So it's going to be a lot of fun, that tournament. Matt, again, this tournament that this Saturday is a qualifier for the Clark Betting Challenge. So I think a lot of people, if they're not interested, they should be interested in it, because the Clark Betting Challenge is a qualifier for the NHC. So again, one qualifier qualifies for another.
Yes, and let's talk about 2 aspects of that quickly. Number one,
and you've got a tip of the day also. We'll end with that.
All right. So 3 things. I'll try and rifle them off quickly. One is, yes, $2,000 is a high buy-in for that Clark Betting Challenge, but look again at the structure of it. It's 1,500 cash, 500 prize pool. That is not the normal ratio. So you get to keep a lot more of your money in this, and play with it and whatever than you typically would expect. So yes, it's a high dollar tournament and whatever, but an awful lot of that is kept by you and not in the prize pool. Number 2, that seat is worth $2,000 on the button. There's no question as to how to value that. NHC seats, people will value anywhere between priceless and worthless. You will no doubt see lower totals for this tournament than the NHC tournament. It's just different. There's also, You're showing the prize pool of the.
This is the Clark, but I'll go back to this weekend.
No, that's
go
okay.
ahead.
So I'm just saying for this weekend's tournament, I don't know that you need a $2,500 target. It might take that, but that might be something that gets determined on a more fluid basis as you're going. But I think this weekend's tournament will be a bit more tame.
There you go, Matt.
Right. And so we're going to have probably, I'm going to just guess, 50 entries. And so you're looking at 6 seats. You don't need the aggression. You know, what I did last week would have worked in this particular tournament, but because it was so top heavy, it didn't. All right. So let's get to the tip of the day. And it's not being defensive, but it is explaining what I did last week and why I actually think it was okay. You're not always going to be around for the last race of a tournament. I had family obligations. There's no chance I was missing those. I had to leave here at an exact time, and I did get there on time. If you were watching that, it was quite funny. I knew exactly what I was going to do when I left the house. If a certain number of people had passed me, I was going to do this. I was going to bet to that. I was going to fall to this position. I had thought about the horses. I don't mind leaving mission control when I know exactly what I'm going to do. Like I said before, there's no regrets. What I would not do is the opposite of that and go running out of the house, needing to attend to something else. There's no way someone would have been successful from the car trying to figure out how to win that tournament at the last second if that's where they were stuck. And so, this isn't a morality lesson on your priorities or whatever, but stick to your priorities. You can still do these things if you have a plan, but you definitely need a plan. I would have been very distraught about losing this thing if just on a very flustered basis I came up with, just throw a couple $100 on this horse and see what happens. But under the circumstances, it was a plan I was willing to live with, and that's fine. So have a plan, be willing to change it if you need to. But in this case, I didn't really need to. And that's why I think, not sitting here for the entirety of a tournament can be okay. Just be thoughtful about it.
Great advice. And Matt has a book, if you're not aware, A Better Way of Thinking, still available, of course. Please check it out. He talks about a lot of these strategies. Noah and Matt, I don't want to speak for yourself. I will most likely be playing. I'm probably going to do one entry, to be very honest, in this contest on Saturday. Noah, are you going to try to qualify through a qualifier, this during the week to get to Saturday like you usually do? You going to take the week off? Any thoughts on what you might do this weekend? Tournament-wise?
I'm leaning between option A and B because I fly out. Obviously, Thanksgiving's next week, so I'll be traveling. But you never know; I might change my mind last minute and try to win a little feeder or something.
Okay, and Matt, I'm assuming the usual 2 for you, right?
I mean, it's great. I'm
Oh,
not going to make it too big a flex, but if I turn this thing around, I am qualified for everything come kingdom come. Until TwinSpires is done, I think I'm qualified. So
all right. Yada, yada, yada. Matt's playing for 2. Okay, we get the idea. All right. All right. Listen, we appreciate everyone listening and watching. The viewership, like I said last week, was great. Weekend Warriors this Saturday. Once again, the show is on. There it is from 4 to 6. Very similar to last weekend with focus on the races from Churchill. We might show a race from New York or actually the Fairgrounds, which is, of course, a Churchill Downs Incorporated track as they start this weekend. And that's the feature show for Picks and Ponies tomorrow on Thursday. We're going to have Kevin Kilroy, guys, who does a great job with Churchill Downs Incorporated, covering many things. He's one of the racing analysts. We're going to have him on tomorrow night, guys, talking about the opening weekend. Mal, I'll get you in a second. The opening weekend card at the Fairgrounds. And, of course, coming up here in 20 minutes on Wednesday night, Ben and Boozin', hosted by Kyle Roscoe, Patrick Kunzel. Noah will be on the show, as well as they're going to be talking about the New York Aqueduct late pick 5 this Saturday. Go ahead, Matt.
Real quick, just a word on the Fairgrounds. Darren and team have worked Fairgrounds races into the tournament calendar. So whether or not that's for a Saturday one, we'll see. But there's actually a whole bunch of different tracks coming up. So lots of variety.
Yeah, so if you like betting the Fairgrounds, why not play a tournament, right? Last thing I'll say, we are going to have tournament tokens. And we talked about this. Darren Zorcali is going to be setting that up. He said it would probably start after Thanksgiving, where people can just watch the show, Matt Noah, and get a discount code and play for these tournaments less than the actual fee. I mean, unbelievable. Stay tuned to the HHH Racing Podcast and the Leaderboard, our show here, our new show, for information about that. For Noah Maher and Matt Miller, this has been your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 2 of the Leaderboard, sponsored by TwinSpires. Crush your bets in this weekend's tournaments with TwinSpires. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.